today, I'm just not going to talk and put a label on anything. I'm just going to give you an invitation to imagine 2,000 years ago in India, when we have the feminine and the masculine experiencing balance. So, let's see here. So we see a culture that honors the masculine and the feminine together. And both of them are understood. Their universal principles are understood. So the masculine is understood as having strengths in stability, foundation, protection. And we often see that exemplified with Shiva lying down on his back beneath Shakti. So Shakti is the feminine, and the universal principles of the feminine are creative, boundless, spontaneous, life-giving. So the feminine is seen as the life-giving principle and potential of giving life. And so in this tradition, 2,000 years ago, you see both of these in balance, honoring each other. Now, the temple dance tradition, we actually don't know exactly how long it was going on, like when exactly it was started. We have traces of it. We see the first carving of female dancers right around 1 BC AD, and the Udayagiri caves. They're Jain caves in Orissa. I've actually been there and seen that. So we know that sacred dance and musicians have been a part of ritual for a very long time. And then we see in ancient temples all over India, the beautiful amorous couples. Those are the sensual male and female couples doing all sorts of beautiful things. And then you also see temples covered with apsaras. So apsaras are believed to be these feminine divine beings who are full of that beautiful, feminine, creative, inspiring, sensual energy. That energy that really inspires flowers to bloom. Tashita Lake. That inspires flowers to bloom. And it was actually seen that these feminine forms were part of what kept the gods happy and joyous and enabling the gods to keep society well taken care of, having the rains come and the plants grow and the babies being born healthy. So back in this ancient time, when you had temple dancers embodying this feminine nature and you had the masculine doing their part, society was working with the elements in Hi Lali, working with the elements that we are living amongst. We have all these, we have the 5 elements: sun, sky, earth, wind, fire, ether, and then we have the masculine and feminine principles. So the temple dancer was the storyteller and the messenger of these realms that were outside of the human the human experience, but yet that we're a part of. And so the temple dancers were seen as the messengers of the divine realm, the ones who had the stories, that were told the secrets of those realms. And they were the ones that would come in and convey the stories through movements, hand gestures, mudra, body gestures, all different kinds. There's feet language, there's hand language, there's body bend language, there's all parts of language, facial language, emotion language. All of these things are a part of the temple dance system. And in fact, a codified system, meaning a system that was transcribed from the heavenly realms by a particular saint, and it's believed somewhere in the 2nd to 4th century AD, this manuscript, Natya Shastra, is the prescription for the temple dances. And it's not a performance, it's the codification so that the accurate language of the body of the temple dancer can convey the story of the cosmos and the deity realm and the mysteries of the universe, really. So these temple dancers were from a very young age brought into this reality. And so their whole existence was really in training for this type of storytelling and embodiment. The temple dancers actually believed that they are descendants, literal descendants from the Apsaras, so from the divine realm. And again, the Apsaras are the feminine forms that you see on the outside of the Indian temples. So all of this in part of the Kali Yuga conversation. So here we go. Why do we include temple dance, yogini, Kali Yuga in the same conversation? Well, because all of it, I mean, there's many common threads, but I would say one of the main common threads and themes is Shakti. So Shakti is a Sanskrit word that essentially means universal feminine power or energy. And Kali is possibly the greatest example of Shakti. And Shakti is believed, hello Jennifer, Shakti is believed to have 3 faces, so we call it 3 faces of Shakti. And as I've talked in the 3 previous Kali Yugas, I've talked about the cycles of Shakti and how that relates to our very moment right now in our experience on the planet. But in a nutshell, so Shakti, the 3 faces of Shakti, everything that has form has a birth, has a life, and has a transformation or a death. And then guess what happens? It all starts over again. So everything in the universe is bound by Kali's Shakti cycles. So she is creation, she is preservation, and she is destruction. This is Shakti. Shakti has these 3 cycles: birth, life, death, birth, life, death, birth, life, death. And so Shakti, being this feminine potential of all of those, is really what the main job of the temple dancers was to understand Shakti, embody Shakti, and then be the ambassadors of Shakti to society. So we're still having this beautiful little road trip back in time. I just started us there a few minutes ago. So bringing this principle of Shakti back into ancient society where they understood and they respected the cycles of the cosmos, the masculine universal energy, Shiva, and the feminine universal energy, Shakti. So we have the temple dancers, and it's believed, it's agreed upon that the temple dancers are the embodiment of this Shakti life-giving energy for society. And so you see them all over on the temples, like on the carvings. And the idea you can imagine with the sculptures of them on the temples is, so they build these beautiful grand temples. And let's say for Shiva. So on a Shiva temple, you have this incredible construction, and they've adorned it with everything you can imagine. And there's this perfect form. It's got strong walls, a good foundation, made of stone, elaborate carvings. And then, like any building, it needs to have life. It needs to have energy. Plug in the electricity. Get the light bulbs glowing. And how was that done in the ancients? Shakti. you would have these beautiful, sensual, feminine forms of the vital, sensual, life-giving energy covering the temples, not just to ignite the energy of the temples, but also to offer that to the deity realm, to make the deity realm, you know, when you're in a beautiful, loving relationship, you've got good mojo with someone, you're sparkly, right? When you're having a romance, you're feeling sensual. There's a sparkle going on, right? Well, so that was the idea. Keep the deity realm sparkly and happy and benefiting, bringing good fortune to the human realm. So we have these temple dancers having a very important role in society. They're keeping the god realm healthy with their beautiful, sensual, feminine, life-giving power. They're then enabling the weather to be fortuitous, for the crops to grow and the children to be born healthy, for society to find balance with the feminine and masculine, to have that balance. And the interesting thing is the temple dancers, they were so respected that they actually had their own caste. So India is a very complex caste system. Well, they had their own caste right next to the king because they were believed, the king, back when things were working and harmonious and power was balanced, the king was actually seen as the deity realm, and his wives were these Apsara dancing temple dancers. And so we had them on this special realm of society, tending to the wellness of society. So the temple dancers were highly trained in the arts, dance, music, tradition. Some of them were landholders. They actually had a matriarchal society. They had their own lineage and tradition because they were so revered and seen as such an important part of society. In some places, they also, when they lived in the temples, they also were tending the wealth of the community, the grains, let's say a lot of the wealth, the jewelries and the gold and all that type of thing. The temples are elaborately adorned and such. So anyway, the temple dancers were very revered and seen as an important part of society. So how, again, are we keeping this with the Kali Yuga conversation?